All right, so I guess we will begin. I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'm Denise Reed from the Career Foundation, and I just would again like to thank you all for attending our CIBC Banking Sector Hiring Tips and for Job Seekers event. We're here with Carmela Gallo from CIBC. She's going to be sharing some information with us in regards to herself, CIBC, some of the roles they have, and some of the necessary requirements for individuals to be able to obtain employment with them. So job tips, interview tips, things of that nature. For ourselves, we are the Career Foundation. We're a nonprofit government organization. We assist employees and employers in regards to finding individuals for their jobs and in regards to posting their opportunities so that we can make the connection for them. We're a no-cost service to all that use us. And for job seekers such as yourself, we offer services such as resume writing, interview tips, connecting with employers, networking, and just a variety of things that you can do, workshops and otherwise within the banking industry, primarily, which is what we are featuring today, as well as in any other industry. So I definitely would encourage you all to register with us. We will be giving you our information again in regards to how you can find our online registration. We've sent some of that to you in email already, but definitely we will do it again. Very important that you make sure that you do register with us so that when further opportunities come up in banking, that you'll be prepared in regards to having your resume submitted for review. So Carmela, thanks again for joining us. I see we have a very good number of participants here who are definitely interested in hearing what you have to say and your assistance in regards to them obtaining some information for opportunities with you. So I will leave it with you.
Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks, everybody, for joining. First of all, this is my first Zoom interview, or webinar, I guess. If something goes wrong, I don't know how to fix it, but hopefully nothing goes wrong.
Well, if anything goes wrong, we'll know how to fix it. We have a great behind-the-scenes team here who will be able to assist with that. But definitely just logging on again, if you are cut off, we'll bring you back in. But I'm sure nothing will go wrong, so there you go.
There you go. So I'm going to do a lot of talking in the beginning, and then we'll open up to question and answers. We do have an hour and a half time slot for this, so we'll see what the time brings, but that's kind of the gist of it. So first of all, thank you again, and thanks to the Career Foundation for organizing this. I've been with CIBC, I've been in the financial service industry for 30 years, 30 plus actually. I hold an undergrad from University of Toronto downtown. I have an MBA, a Master's in Business Administration from Dalhousie University. I have my IROC license, which allows me to basically sell mutual funds, anything to do with that type of information that's required. I've been at CIBC for the last 12 years, and it's been a good run. So a couple of things about the banking industry. There is basically you can do anything and everything under one umbrella. So that's what's great about Canadian banks, because you can go anywhere from being a CSR or a teller all the way up to a vice president of some department or other. There's everything in the actual organization in terms of there's marketing, there's if you want accounting, there's accounting. If you want, call centers. My world is actually the branch world, so that's what I get to control. And if people are looking for something different, then obviously we will get them into different recruiters. And basically on your skill sets, the bank needs all kinds of people that come forward. So that's the best thing about banking. You can stay within one organization and touch different parts of the organization without leaving the organization. If we talk about resumes, the Career Foundation is a great place to go to get help in how to put a resume together, how to make it cohesive, what are employers looking for, because they touch and feel a lot of different industries, so they'll have that kind of industry knowledge. But from a banking perspective, if you talk about from a branch perspective, we're looking for, if you're looking at a teller, do you have cash experience? Do you have customer service experience? What do you bring in the door in terms of being relatable to customers? Do you like customers? Because some people, they want to work at a bank, but that's not their thing. But if you're going to be front and center, you have to like customers a little bit, because that's your bread and butter, and that's who you see every day. If you're talking about from a financial service representative, so the next level after a CSR, you have your mutual fund license. So you can get that through the Investment Funds in Canada course, or the IFIC course, or you can do it through the Canadian securities industry. The Canadian securities industry is a lot more expensive, and that's not what's required for an entry-level job. Basically, your IFIC, what they call the IFIC, is all that's required. But you need that in order to do a financial service representative job. And that branches out to a whole bunch of other opportunities, because once you have, let's call it sales under your belt, you can branch out into different areas of the bank because they're looking for frontline experience, or you can move up within the branch itself because there's a financial advisor position, and the financial advisor position is something that is the next level up to a financial service representative. So you have your own portfolio, you actually deal with clients that hold more money, or have jobs that give them opportunity to make more money, so they need different things in their own banking, people that have more complexities, so that becomes the next level. Or if you want to go into the management route, there's the assistant manager, there's the branch manager. I'm the community general manager, so I have 3 branches. So there's lots of opportunity. I tell people when you want to do banking, that's basically sky's the limit. You just need to set your goals and then go attain your goals. Because it's such a big organization, there's very little that's going to stop you except you. So there is a lot of upward mobility if that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for something, that you have a family you have to take care of, or works for your family that you like to do the current job you're doing and do it well, by all means, we need stability in that too. So it gives you lots of opportunity to do one thing or the other, what you want or don't want, what you like, what you don't like. And that's why I always promote banking. It's a good employer. Besides the benefits it provides, it also gives you a lot of career opportunities in different parts of the bank. So if we move on from Résumé to, COVID has put a damper on a lot of things, and us included. So we're living in a really different world right now. We have CIBC has a lot of their branches closed. We work on rotation of teams just to make sure that our staff is kept safe and our customers are kept safe. That, if there's any kind of spread, if a team goes down, we have another team stepping in. But what that has caused us not to be able to hire right now, because we don't want to bring people in and probably expose them, or they expose us. So all that's kind of put on hold. I can't see it lasting much longer because we've had people move on to different positions within the organization. We've had people that, their life just didn't support working and they had to leave, or they've decided to leave. Life goes on for everybody. But in the interim, how do you stay motivated? How do you continue to stay motivated? Networking is great. You guys attending these types of webinars are something that helps you. If you want to come into the financial service representative role, then, how do you get your hands on the mutual fund books and start reading through it, understanding it, so that when they start examining again, you're prepared, as opposed to waiting to read the books after the fact. There's a lot of that kind of stuff. Can you do stuff online? LinkedIn is a beautiful thing. Again, the Career Foundation, you can tap into them and see if there's things that you can improve with your resume, or have different connections. So there's lots of things you can keep motivated on. I wouldn't lose hope. It's kind of a unprecedented time. I'm sure everybody's heard that in the last 3 months. About everything will get back to what, let's call it a new normal, is what everybody's referring to, but it will happen again. We need to hire people again. I currently have 2 openings that I'm waiting for approval, but until I get the approval, I can't do anything with it, and I'm only one one community. There's other communities that also have those same needs. So it will open up again, and all the banks will open up again. I was speaking to some of my friends at other banks. They're already going into more of a normality. We're not quite there yet. We've decided to just hold off a little bit longer to make sure things, we see an improvement in COVID, but it is coming. So if people that are kind of chopping at the bits to get into this industry, it will open up, I would say, within the next month or so. So don't give up, but how do you keep yourself motivated on the sidelines is doing all those things to get you ready that when it does open up, you're prepared. So the other thing I want to talk about is, so networking strategies is kind of related to everything I just talked about. So through this, for example, you have Denise and the Career Foundation that have a lot of connections to different people. LinkedIn is a wonderful tool. That's where a lot of people are going to either connect with people that are looking for people to work, or you can look up job opportunities on there because people will also advertise that. The best way to get a job is to basically talk to people that know people, and it's a thin line. So you have to find a thin line between I'm here and I'm gonna, peddle you with questions and make you feel like you have to give me a job, or it's more from an interest point of view. I'm gonna set up a coffee, a virtual coffee, and basically say, I just want to learn more about your organization. What are you looking for in terms of people you want to bring into your organization? Because sometimes the organization is not something you want. It runs both ways. So the employer is looking for people, but as employees, we're also looking for a right fit. And once you find a right fit, you will get a sense of it, and it'll make your work experience that much better. I've seen people in positions where it's not really the right fit, and sometimes you don't have the option to walk away, but if you do the right decision or is close enough for the right decision at that time, it will help you long term. You need to make a best decision with the information you have at the time, but don't force it if it doesn't feel right, because then work really becomes work. And in an industry where you're front facing, you need to really have an appreciation and enjoy that, because it will not make it fun if it's something you don't want. So the way I look at it, this is what I tell people: anybody can do any job and do it well. But if you're doing it well and it's against your grain, it becomes more of a laborious task every day. If you pick something that's kind of up your alley and you get energized by it, then you don't feel that if you have to do an extra hour of work or they ask you to do something different, you're jumping in because you enjoy the whole experience. So I always tell people, you can do anything any way you want. Just be careful what you're going to pick so that it becomes more fun, because we're here long hours and we're here lots of hours rather than just being a job. But that's just honestly my opinion. I just live by it, and I've had a great run at a career, and I've enjoyed a lot of it. Sometimes, it's like you get frustrated, but that's anywhere, anytime. But if you enjoy, so my go-to place for what I tell my children, if you like 70% of your job and 30%, you're in a good place. But if you start to like only 40% of your job, or it makes it difficult every day. So that's just one thing I want to put out there. Let me just flip back to resumes and basically questions we ask and stuff. So a lot of the questions that have evolved over the years is it's gone to behavioral questions. So they'll ask the normal questions, what's your career goal? What do you bring to the table? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? They'll word it different ways. But what they will ask more now is, give me an example of when you provide exceptional client experience. So I'll read you some because I usually go off the cuff, but since we're in this kind of setting. So tell me about a client relationship you've built. So what did you do to build the relationship? What challenges did you encounter, and how did you overcome them? So again, here you're looking at, so can I build relationships? How did I go about building that relationship? if I had a challenge, how do I overcome that challenge? So you kind of have to have questions, or you need to have scenarios in your arsenal of tools so that when questions are asked, you can put that answer into that question. You're not struggling at the interview trying to figure out things. If you're going into a job where there's customer service, there's cash related things, you should have those in the back of your pocket. So I'll read 2 more. So describe a time when you were able to identify an interest or a need of a client. How did you accomplish informing the client of the product or service that matched their needs? So again, you've identified something. How did you go about bringing it forward to the client? And what was the outcome? So one thing we all forget as when we are answering questions, because we're so concerned about answering the question, is we sometimes forget to tell the person that's interviewing us what the outcome was, the positive outcome of what we did. So that's one thing to keep in mind, because that's one of the tips that I got a long time ago, and it's always helped. And the last one I'll read is, so tell me about a time when you turned a negative customer service experience into a positive one. So basically, what steps did you take? How did you know the client was satisfied? And are they still a client for you today? If people are going into entry-level jobs, you can think of, describe a time when you had to sell or convince one of your friends to buy a product. Because everybody talks about, Amazon, or they talk about Spotify. So amongst yourself, you convince your friends to buy these products or go into these companies and use them. Same kind of idea. So if you don't have a life example because you either started working in Canada, or you just started working, or you've come back into the workforce, then this is something that you can find a different way to bring forward, right? If you're a student and you're coming out of school, there's lots of things you can touch on that will help with the questions. But you really need to have examples in your head that will help you with that. And it's okay to practice with whatever friend is willing to listen to you, or have them come up with questions, because there's a lot on the internet that you can pull, behavioral focused questions, and just practice. So that will help also in terms of interviewing. Okay, so if we talk about getting your foot in the door, there's a couple of things. If depends where people are in their careers or in their lives. You can go through an entry-level job, or basically step back and say, I have experience from another country, I have experience from another organization. What skill sets can I bring into banking that will capitalize so that you can actually use that to your advantage? It becomes it's a double-edged sword. So if you want to come in and you want to start entry level, sometimes that is the right way. Sometimes it's you have so much experience from, say that I'm going to call it back home, or so much experience you bring forward, or schooling that you have under your belt, that maybe being a teller is not the right place to start. And I will tell those people up front. If it suits for you, then absolutely, but it doesn't mean that's where you have to start. So you need to kind of step back and find somebody that's willing to say, you know what, you have all this already, so let's start you here. How do we get you here? It's not the easiest thing, but don't cut yourself short either. It is really, I call it, walking a thin line. And everybody needs to work. Everybody needs to feed their families. Everybody, money is what makes the world go round. I get all that, but also make sure you're making right decisions, because it's something you're committing to, and you don't want to start jumping ship, because you're going to start making friends, relationships. People in your organization are going to start to know you, and they'll peg you maybe for next roles. So you want to really make your decision wisely and in an area where you feel you're going to excel. If we talk about banking, as that's what we're talking about, it's very hard to get into, human resources or anti-money laundering, but it's not impossible. I know that for us, for example, anti-money laundering is changing direction. Before we were taking people from our front lines because they knew our systems and they knew what to look for in terms of people in the branches, customers we see. But now they're going more after, is there courses that they have to take? Is there a certain way of thinking that we're looking for? Is it somebody that's more analytical, or somebody that's really thinking about situations? So there's different things that will come out, and there's a million jobs out there, and I know people get frustrated in terms, how do I actually get in? And it comes down to networking. So it comes down to what we talked, let's call it a few minutes ago. Is it something that you can say, okay, you know what, I see this person on LinkedIn that has this type of job, because they will tell you your job's there, what they're in, what career they're in. Can I possibly connect with them, and will they be willing to give me time to kind of pick their brain and see what their job is really about? I've also learned that people think they want a particular job, and then when they kind of start experimenting or learning about it, it's like, yeah, no, I really don't want that job. I don't really like that kind of stuff. So you need to do a little bit of homework besides just saying, I need a job, right? So what kind of job really does motivate me so that I can continue in a career perspective? And I've been in situations where I've had people I've identified that can go into the next role, and I've approached them. I'll give you a perfect example. I had somebody I worked with who was my excellent teller, excellent, great with customers, was there for 10 years when I got into that branch. I approached this person within, I think, my first 2 months and said, hey, do you want to be a financial service representative? Because I'm motivated that way. I'm motivated in career mobility. I'm motivated in, making more money. Those are my motivating factors. I'm motivated in recognition. And he basically turned around and said to me, thank you for the offer, or for thinking of me, but this makes sense for my family. I don't want to move up. I feel I'm in a good space right now. And when I'm ready, I'll let you know. So for me, that was my first encounter with somebody that kind of said to me, no, I'm good, because that's not the way I think. And sometimes we have to stay open as leaders, as managers, as interviewers, that it takes different people to make the world go around. It takes different people to make the organization do well. And reality is we get training in that to keep open-minded, because we gravitate to the same people, and that's not what you want. You want diversity, because diversity gives the organization better strength. So I'm a big proponent of that. And you guys that are searching should also search for organizations that will give you opportunities coming in and continue growing. So yeah, I think I talked about everything. Let me see, hold on. I'll look at my notes, hold on a sec. Yep. Denise, I think I'm good.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. That's speedy. Okay, so there are quite a few questions for you. So let's see, I'm just going to try to scroll back up with them. In the meantime, one question I did have was, thank you for some of the information that you provided for newcomers. And I also wanted to see if maybe you could just confirm what your suggestions were, because very often we do have people that are newcomers to Canada, but they have a variety of banking experience and knowledge from wherever they're coming from. What would your suggestions be to them so that they're not discouraged? Because very often they come and they want to immediately get the same position, and understandably. Yeah. What would you say?
So the challenge is that you have to acclimatize to Canadian banks. They're different. So yes, you have a lot of knowledge, you have a lot of industry knowledge in banking, but Canadian banks are Canadian banks. So you have to almost acclimatize. So I've hired people saying, okay, you know what, start as, for example, a financial service representative. Let's do it for a year. So that you kind of understand the Canadian market, our products, our systems, and then let's move you into a financial advisor role. Or if they're looking for, it becomes very, I don't know enough about the rest of the bank, but I've had people approach even, our face-to-face conversations at the Career Foundation. I want to go into, a wealth a wealth specialist role, or I want to go into world markets. And we try to connect them a different way because that would be out of my scope. But it's trying to find the right connection. But climatizing is the best thing. Listen, a lot of people that come into Canada have a lot to offer with a lot of paper behind them. So how do you make sure you use the expertise that they bring from another country to us? And I can speak about CIBC because I've seen it happen. They're very open to, okay, what's your experience level? What do you bring to the table? And then let's get you in the right area. I've told people also, you know what, coming into the branch world is not for you because that's not what you want. You prefer to do something behind the scenes, or you prefer to do something in wealth management. So how do we get people there? So usually HR will filter resumes accordingly. And then it's constantly, honestly, it's networking and talking to people and understanding how they can get from one thing or another thing. So yeah, it's not the easiest thing, but it's not impossible. That's what I have to say.
For sure. And that's what they need
Can't
to
talk too
remember, not
much.
impossible. Yeah, okay.
I'll just keep talking. Okay.
No, that's okay. So I have another question.
Sure.
So it's from Nicholas. What should we do if we feel our qualifications fit more towards a middle back office role, but we are early in our career and we don't meet the experience and requirements for entry-level banking positions that require 1 to 3 years minimum?
Well, okay, one more time.
So Nicholas is asking, what should we do if we feel our qualifications fit more towards middle or back office roles, but we are early in our career and we don't meet the experiential requirements for entry-level banking positions that usually require 1 to 3 years as a minimum?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I've learned that people in the branches will always get picked up in other areas of the bank because we are the foundation of what's happening. So if you're early in your career and I don't know, you want to go into, I can't even, like AML is one big thing that people are going into, anti-money laundering, and they ask for X amount of years experience, is honestly come in and do a financial service representative role, or even a call center role if you don't want to do face-to-face with customers. I always tell people a sales position will always give you a lot of clout on your resume. If it's something you really, really, really don't want to do, it becomes challenging because it's a chicken and egg, right? What comes first, what comes second? I don't have an easy answer for that. You'd almost have to, I guess, call it your due, put in your dues to get where you want to go. And it doesn't have to be years and years and years of doing it in one position, because like I said, the bank gives you opportunity to do different things. Within a year to next year, you can be in a different role. And that will probably get you where you want to go. I am kind of stuck on that one because people have asked me that before and there's no easy answer. I don't have an easy answer. But if you like people, let's say, I wouldn't waste my time trying to get into door A. I would kind of come in through door B and then get to door A a different way.
Right. Okay. Well, hopefully that helps. Thank you, Carmela. The next question, can we ask, basically they'd like to know questions in regards to compliance positions like AML, which you kind of just touched on, analyst fraud investigations. Do you have any information that you can share about those types of roles?
I've never been in any of those roles. I've only been in an analyst role, and personally, that didn't work out for me. I just found it as too much paper, and I quickly learned that's not my thing. I like a million things coming at me with customers, so I went quickly out of that role after I did my time, and I would never have gone back. But it's anti-money laundering is a growing area. The bank has put a lot of emphasis. All the banks have put a lot of emphasis around it because the government has. So this area continues to grow. There are now courses you can take to do anti-money laundering. Some banks are starting to look for those courses rather than taking from, let's call it from the branch level. So if you have the courses, again, double-edged sword because you have the experience. So if you're looking at that, I would look into courses. I would also look online and see what are the banks asking for besides X amount of years experience. Are they looking for specific courses that they want. I know, for example, Scotiabank has implemented that because I have somebody that works there. So she ended up having to take courses in order to actually keep her job. Here, it's not that black and white yet. They're kind of all over the map because it is a growing department. And if you talk about, what was the other thing you said? You said there was anti-money laundering and you mentioned something else.
AML.
AML is anti-money laundering.
AML, analyst, fraud investigator.
Okay, so analyst, they're looking for definitely paper, meaning education, because usually you're number crunching. So they're usually looking for certain things in terms of can you number crunch, right? So what that is, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know they're looking definitely for a level of education on that department. And fraud analysts, they're looking for experience because in order for you to identify fraud, you need to understand what people can do. And a lot of time for fraud, they do take from branches because you have come across it, unfortunately. You deal with clients that try to defraud us. You deal with situations that, the customer got frauded, and then we have to deal with the backlash. So there's a lot of stuff you will come across that will help you to get into that role.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Carmela, again. And we have another question. Let's see. Sita says, hi. Thank you for sharing the important tips. She wishes to apply for a financial service representative position. Is it possible to first apply for the job and then pursue the mutual fund course during the job, or is she supposed to get the certification first for the position?
We have to get a certification first for the position. So it's again, it's a chicken and egg thing. So we used to take employees on without the certification, and then for some reason it wasn't the right time. They didn't pass. It put us in a difficult situation because that's the last thing we want to do is bring somebody on and then have to let them go because there's timelines. So CIBC has made a decision that you need to have your certification prior to applying for a financial service representative, and the most economical one is the investment funds in Canada course. The Canadian Securities Institute is extremely expensive, and you don't need it at this level.
Okay,
so, yeah.
Perfect. And just to add to that, Sita, for your own, job search, I guess it would also, Carmela, probably differ from bank to bank, as you said, right? So it would unfortunately probably depend on institution. Okay.
It does depend, but sorry, more banks are moving towards having it before we hire.
Right, okay, all right, understood. So hopefully everyone on the call understands that. We have individuals thanking you very much for your being here, for your assistance, the information you're sharing. See, lots of good questions. A copy of the recording is one of the questions from Grace. Yes, we definitely will be providing everyone with an emailed copy of the recording. So definitely for today, you will have that. Please, again, remember to register because that's also important. Again, if you want to get your resume in front of Carmela or someone else at CIBC, so that's also very important to add there because I see these are some of the questions.
I saw one about age limit. So you have to be 18 to apply.
Right, okay, perfect.
I just saw that pop up.
You just saw Yeah, I'm trying to be fair and I'm going back to the top.
Yeah,
but perfect. What kind of accounting roles and opportunities are there in the banking sector? And are there any certification courses required?
Accounting, yes. If you're going down the accounting stream, there is certifications, but not like you don't need to be what do they call them now? You don't have to be certified in terms of being. Sorry.
You don't have to be a chartered accountant? Is that what you're saying?
No, right. You don't have to be a chartered accountant, but numbers kind of have to be your thing. One thing good about banking is if you're, in terms of like a branch perspective, if you're good with people, that's kind of the main thing, and then we can teach you lots of other things. But if you're looking in a back office role where there's specific requirements in place, you need to have some type of schooling to back you up. So if it is accounting, then you need to have some certificate or degree in that area. So you don't have to be a certified a CFA. Is that what it's called? No, CPA. That's a new world.
Yeah.
But you need to have some level of education in that area.
So Carmela, would you say then definitely open to new grads in regards to financial accreditation, and definitely, I guess, maybe people bookkeeping and now looking to join the bank and kind of like evolve that way?
Yep. Yeah. People that have done it in, say, in other areas, and now they figure, let me do something in the bank. You have to understand our main world of banking is branches, call centers, visa centers. So when you talk about accounting departments or marketing departments, they're smaller in scope because it needs to do the whole bank, but you don't need 10,000 people doing that, right? You need a handful, or you need a dozen people. So it becomes a little bit more challenging trying to get into those worlds. But we have the worlds. They're all here.
Right.
So yeah.
All right, perfect. Someone else says, I've worked for CIBC for 1 month and left the organization because of just unfortunate employment experience there. Will that impact the future employability with that person at the bank in regards to maybe relationships with management or anything of that nature?
So that's kind of a loaded question without knowing the whole story, but
yeah.
So I would say if it was, just not the right match between manager and employee, let's call it, and you made a decision to say, I'm walking away, and it's all amicable and on good grounds, I don't see an issue with that at all, unless you're actually let go for a cause, because let's call it what it is, either you stole or there was something untruthful that you did, then no, that you can't come back. But if it was because of wasn't right fit, or wasn't the right place, or you moved, or all those stuff, yes, you can come back. It's not a problem.
Right. Okay, perfect. Kevin's got a really good question here, so hopefully I'll read it correctly so that you understand it. Okay. Both domestically and globally, there are, sorry, I'm just going to turn this up for you, Carmela. Maybe I don't want you to have to. Is this a little better? Yeah. Can you hear me? A little better? Sorry. Okay.
The old age. Yeah.
No, you're fine. Okay, you're fine. Very good. Okay, so both domestically and globally, there is a trend towards responsible investment. Everything from divestiture to institutional investors through SRI being driven by retail investors seeking ESG screens on their RRSPs. Leading up to COVID, I saw lots of postings by banks for ESG analysts. Is that a sign that the big five are planning to do more analysts in-house as opposed to relying on analytics by specialty firms? Or do you see it as more of a one-off blip to manage sudden uptake in interest?
Okay, so we do a lot of our own analytics in-house, especially if it comes to investing. We actually have a whole department which is quite large, so we do a lot of that stuff. In terms of specific or specialized investments, that this is more coming from the customer. So there's an ask for certain types of investments where it's either ethical or more of a green organization. So we have a lot of stuff that is happening behind the scenes to make sure that we're listening to our customers and giving them what they're looking for, and that we hear them. I think a lot of banks have already their own analytical departments in-house. I think more and more will be in-house from what I see. They're always going to go outside because people are experts in their own field. So if it's going to take you, I don't know, let's call it 10 hours of manpower to get something that another organization is already doing and will provide just by you paying for it, I can't see the banks not being smart about that and going to that specialist. But they like to have their own information and their own analysis because they know what customers are looking for, and they have their own I guess, their own internal information systems that they're going to cater to. So yeah, I see more of that growing. But like I said, if it's out there, they're not going to reinvent the wheel when they can just go get it and ask for it or pay for it. Yeah.
Okay, makes perfect sense. Another question, Stephanie is asking, what would be the best starting point in banking career for an accounting payroll graduate? I know you kind of touched on this, but what would you suggest?
Well, it's trying to get into the accounting department, but that'd be a little bit of a challenge. It really depends what you like. Like if it's numbers that kind of drive you, then it's trying to get down into that role. But again, there's not a lot of that. If it's numbers and customers and you genuinely like people, then honestly, being a financial service representative, the numbers will serve you really well, because customers are always looking for, how does 1 + 1 = 2, and how do I get there, and how do you help me get there? So your knowledge in numbers, let's call it, will help in terms of aiding our customers and giving them what they need financially. If you want to get really into an accounting department, a little bit more challenging, but I don't know what their positioning is in that department. So usually entry level, and if you have a lot of experience, it's trying to bypass that. Again, LinkedIn is kind of your best friend. You guys, a career foundation is, maybe you have that kind of intel and connection. Yeah, it's a harder one.
Yeah. Okay. Definitely, we will help some people through that. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so what are the main challenges for professionals after COVID-19?
So I honestly think and that's a lot of things. So people are still very scared. Customers are losing their patience. So for professionals, it's what's opening up, what's not going to open up, what's going to look different. I know we have half our bank working from home because of the social distancing. So does that now mean working from home? And some people think that's great. I did a little bit of it, and then when they told me I can have an office, like, yeah, no thanks. I wasn't productive. And people don't like working from home. Some people think it's the best thing, and then when they try, it's like, nope, I like the social interaction with my colleagues. I actually enjoy the commute. I get to get out there. So, that will change. That will have a different look coming back once they start to ease more and more of the rules. A lot of companies are talking about, we have, let's call it hoteling. So you come into an office building and you pick a computer and that's your office for the day. But now they're looking at it from, how do we give our employees computers at home and have them work from home and not make them come in. Yeah, it will definitely. So things that banks have, we're talking about for, years, let's talk about it, in 2 months all came to life, because how do you continue your business? So we came up, remote fulfillment. There's stuff you do on the computer. There's, you sign with your finger. You're not worrying about clients coming in to see you face to face. It's changed a lot of the world, but it gives us a new challenge. So professionals will have something challenging and different to look at and say, okay, my skill sets, how do I fit it into the new world? And it becomes more like, what's going to happen? What's going to open up in the new world? And it'll be different.
Absolutely, and I think probably, Carmela, professionally as well as personally, a lot of people will have to revamp their views on work and what that means to them and how that looks because of this, right? Some of the aspects people might have loved of banking may, as you said, have changed. So, but yeah, for sure. It's about learning new things. So there you go, right? Okay, so Neelam says, thanks, Carmela. My background is mixer, a bit IT and quality. Can I get my entry level administrative side? Can I get into administrative side based on that background of IT and quality?
So I'm not sure if they want to change career, like do they want to go from IT to admin, or?
I think so. I'm assuming IT and quality assurance and probably going into IT. Yes, probably wondering if that background is going to be a problem on a resume for a CIBC recruiter, talent manager?
No, because we have a whole IT department, right? So I know our IT, we hire from an outside source because IT is so fluid and changes very often. I've had people that are IT that are not quote unquote CIBC employees, but they've been with us for 10 years. So if it's IT, this is the world we live in. IT is
Sorry,
very.
Carmela, I think it's administration. I think they want to leave IT and quality assurance, possibly going into the administrative side entry level. So
I don't see an issue. Honestly, the bank is anything you want. So we have people from all walks of life. We have people that are engineers, people that are accountants, people that are. It takes a lot of different skills. So I don't see an issue. If you've been doing IT and you're kind of detail oriented and you like the administration piece of things, you have skill sets that are transferable that can go into that role. So I don't see an issue.
all right, perfect. Okay. How difficult is it for someone from another industry with transferable skills in customer service and retail to step foot into the doors of the banking sector? I think this is from Aline, and it's a wonderful question because, especially with COVID, we're seeing so many individuals who now, unfortunately, have to have left what they might have been doing for years and really revamp themselves for something new. So this is a great question. Is banking now an opportunity for them?
Yeah, so we take a lot of people from retail because you have to deal with clients and you have to have a lot more patience. So most of our hirings in the front line is from retail because most of the time you've, like I said, dealt with clients, but you've also dealt with cash, closing up. And banking is an extension of a retail world. So absolutely. The only thing is if you're coming in as a teller or a customer service rep, the new world before and now, there's not a lot of those roles because that's the diminishing part of the bank. You'd have to actually look at, do I want to do my mutual fund course, my investment funds in Canada course, and go into that role because you'll have the foundation of customer service and cash, let's call it, from the retail world, and then how do I implement it into the finance world? So yeah, no, it's not. That's basically most of our staff come from, a lot from the retail world.
Okay, perfect. Another question from Maria, different but very similar in regards to wanting to know, based on her experience of customer service working in call centers, but not in a bank. She was a call center representative working with money in order taking back home for only a year. Do you think it's possible to apply for CIBC call center now?
Yes.
Yeah.
If you have call center experience and you want to go back into a call center world, you usually get picked up quicker because you know that world. Call centers are very unique because everything's on a queue and you understand how the equipment works. So yeah, I absolutely, because CIBC has quite a bit of call centers. So we have incoming call centers for general conversation, and we have call centers for visa department, which is quite large. In Toronto, there's 1, 2, 3, I think 4 different sites for call centers. So yeah, it's a very sought after area actually. So yeah.
Perfect. Very good. Thank you. Another question is, with knowledge of a second language, is that considered helpful as a skill in regards to obtaining an entry-level job?
Yes.
Yeah. So, I'm not sure what the second language is, but I'm sure yes.
I don't know either. But one thing people shy away from is putting that they have a second language. And actually, I tell you honestly, I would publicize that I need X because this is Toronto, as Canada. We have a very multicultural society, and people want to speak their language. So yes, put it on your resume. It's to your advantage. There's lots of things that I have in this branch. I have 32 people, and I think I have 12 languages. And we speak them all at one point or other. So yes, definitely an advantage. Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. And I also support that as well because I see a lot of that, a lot of people kind of downplaying whatever their mother tongue is or their second language skills. And I don't think they should because, as you said, Carmela, you just never really know what an employer and industry is looking for, and that could
Yep.
be it. So
Yep.
absolutely. Sell yourself, however, for sure. Um, Another question regarding customer service and the potential of working from home. I know that you've covered this a little bit, especially with the running pandemic. So I guess our question is a little bit more right now. So I know CIBC, as you said, is not actively hiring for all the roles right now, but if they were to commence probably in a week or two, what would that look like? Would there be some working from home for customer service people?
Yeah, so actually we hired a bunch of university students right before the pandemic broke out.
Right.
So we're not bringing them in. They're actually starting with us July 6th, but they're actually starting at home.
Okay, there you
So
go.
they've been set up with whatever technology we could set them up with, and they're doing their actual learning from home with telephone and touch points and this kind of stuff that we're doing now. Because every bank and every industry actually has to look at their new world through a different set of lenses. So yes, absolutely. If there's things that things will open up later, but they need something now, they can say, okay, let's hire you, let's let you do the training from home. If you're customer facing, we need you eventually in the branch, but there's a lot of stuff that can be done behind the scenes before you step in.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank you. What are the expected academic qualifications required for financial advisor or banking sector?
For a financial advisor?
Yes.
Okay. So there's a teller, financial service representative, financial advisor. So financial advisor, you need to have your Canadian securities course. So we have two different licensing at CIBC. We have mutual fund licensing and we have IROC licensing. So depending on which one you want, so IROC is a little, their licensing is more stringent because that governing body is more stringent. So you'd have to have your Canadian securities course in Canada, and you have to have your CPH, your Canadian Practice Handbook. I'm trying to think what it stands for. So yeah, and then if you're looking at a financial advisor role, you need to have industry experience. You need to have planning under your belt, some form of financial planning in terms of doing it, not a certificate, because then that is on the job. Like once we need your financial planning certificate, you will get while on the job. But to go into an FA role, bypassing an FSR role, you do need planning experience in your arsenal.
Okay.
Hope I answered that.
Yeah, no, thank you. Experience applying for, okay, so Maria, could be the same Maria, I'm not sure. I had an experience applying for other bank and clerical support, and they said that they are looking for persons with financial background. CIBC, is it more open-minded is what she's asking.
So she wants to apply for what kind of job?
So she's had experience applying for clerical support in other banks, other financial areas. Sorry, let me read this again. Okay.
It's okay. Depends what you mean
They're
by
looking for
clerical.
persons with the financial background. So she wants to know if you're more open to that. For clerical support, do they still require financial background?
It helps. I don't think it's an expectation, but it definitely helps in the role. Because if you're providing clerical support to things in finance and you don't know the lingo or the jargon, it makes the job for you difficult. But is it a hard and fast rule for us? No, it's not. Does it give you an edge if you have it? Probably.
Okay, thank you. Another question. If I want to start after COVID, should I start applying right now or afterwards?
Applying to jobs?
I think so. Probably start working. Yeah, like with the CIBC financial environment.
If there's jobs that they can apply for, I would apply now, but I don't think there's too many out there right now.
Right.
So that's what, sorry, I spoke to the fact that if you don't have your certificates now, then this is the time to do it so that when jobs start to flow, they're there. So the thing that people are struggling with at this point in time is COVID, but it's also all the university students that have graduated, because that was another group that is also in the background waiting. And some people we've already given commitments to not knowing about COVID. So that will add to the challenge of finding jobs. But if there's one that they're interested in, it's actually posted, yeah, by all means.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you, Carmela, on that one. I would say you have to probably stay vigilant and see what's happening, because again, every company, every one of the banks are different in regards to their hiring rollout. So definitely keep an eye on that. But I would also say, yeah, that you probably should start now. But again, yeah, take courses and prepare yourself, because this is still a good downtime. So yeah.
So just to add to that, like I was on a call with my bosses Wednesday, and the question has become like, when do we actually put a hiring out there? Because we do have opportunities for people, but we are not allowed to post it yet. So I think it's, as you said, stay diligent and keep checking, because things will change from day to day now and week to week as more things open. The banks are waiting to post their positions, all the banks, just not us, because we're kind of, we're hurting for people because people have moved on, right? That life, COVID, no COVID, life goes on. So yeah, there'll be an upsurge of, I think, an uptick of postings coming out, hopefully very soon.
Right. So there you go. So for everyone who's on the call and who's watching and who's heard Carmela say that, definitely stay on top of that and being prepared, because that's probably what the answer boils down to. Brigida, hopefully I said that correctly, says, thank you very much for the webinar and for your help. What is the best way for applying for a branch position? Basically on the website directly, through LinkedIn, through us, the Career Foundation she's looking for.
Yeah, all of them. So you have to create a profile for sure. If CIBC, any bank, you need to go into the career site and download your resume and set up your own profile, and then look for specific jobs that interest you and apply. But also LinkedIn is another way to go to get in through this way. I mean, I've hired people through Denise and the Career Foundation in the past. Because you get to see people face to face, and there's automatic click, and then things evolve. I've had people come in and want to speak to me, and you have to have a thick skin for that, because there'll be managers that are nice and want to talk to you, and there's managers that will fluff you away. So you gotta be prepared for either one. People are not trying to be rude, but banks are busy. But I've hired people that way too. I've hired people just HR sending me a resume and I interview them. So there's no magic bullet. So whatever you can kind of put your energy behind, they all could work. Networking is key. I can't say that enough. Like if you're just applying, sometimes it's it lucks out, but it's more through word of mouth and people and who talks you up, and yeah.
Well, for personalities that can't really take being fluffed away, I have to say with Career Foundation, Carmela is fabulous. So definitely come to us, meet her.
Yeah, I agree.
She's wonderful at also referring people, even if, as she said, you're not right for her roles within her branches. She's wonderful as an advocate to putting you forward to something else. So yeah,
thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Okay. So again, a newcomer. So here's a newcomer. How can I get a job with CIBC Bank? Not sure if you have any special tips for individuals there.
I think it's more or less the answer from the last one is just trying different avenues, going out and talking to people, getting your kind of, it's I've said it, I mean, I don't want to repeat, but it's a thin line, right? So how much do you go and say, I want to have a coffee, and kind of hold yourself back from saying, I really want a job? Because people get scared of that. People don't like saying no to people. So how do you kind of go and be interested in what they're doing and what they have to provide, and then kind of keep an open communication, because they'll keep you in mind if something comes up. But you just can't start the conversation and let it go away, because people get busy and they don't do it intentionally, but they'll forget about you because they don't have the time to do that, right? You're the one that's looking for the opportunity. So not to the point of harassment, but not to the point of falling off the face of the earth either, right? So make the connection, have a chat, and then say, can I follow up with you in a couple of weeks or a month or whatever, and then just drop a line, and that will help.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you for giving the margins. They're very important for people to be aware of, right? Not too much, not too little. So thank you. Okay, there's a question there. How do we register ourselves with the Career Foundation? Please provide contact details, and we'll definitely do that. There will be an email again at the end sent out to you with all of our contact information and the recording. But definitely we will, throughout this as well, just put up email addresses for myself as well as the organization. So thank you for that. How can candidates with existing mutual funds licenses get into the bank who are new to the country? So some of the questions, Carmela, are going to be, I guess there probably is maybe a little bit of nervousness sometimes, I suppose, because as you said, sometimes some banks may be looking for a bit of a Canadian exposure in regards to banking and customers and things of that nature. So I guess, again, just briefly, maybe you touching on whether or not it's the same with all positions, or with some positions, if you are coming with experience and certification from somewhere else, are you really just in a good place so you can probably apply for the role? Okay.
So if you're coming from another country and you have your mutual fund license, but you've had no customer service experience, you've had no cash experience, you kind of don't know the industry, it'd be very hard. So my suggestion to people usually is, go out and get a retail job. For us, Christmas is a big time. Hopefully this all blows over after COVID, but a lot of different companies will start to look for seasonal employment. But it gets you something on your resume that has customer service and it has cash. And with your mutual funds, that helps you. If you're just coming with your mutual funds, no prior experience from back home, it'd be very, very difficult because there's people that will have that stuff. So when you compare your resume to somebody else's, you won't be picked up. And one thing you guys need to understand, I don't know if it's or don't know, but let me just say it, is when we have a job posting, we'll get 500 people apply to this. Nobody's looking at this anymore with eyes, right? It's going through a computer, and the computer will spit you in or spit you out. So you need to have keywords on your resume in order to be kept in the computer as opposed to out. So if you don't have, I'll just call my world. If you don't have, cash experience on there, or you don't have customer service experience, or if you're looking for a call center experience, the computer will do a first run with those words. And if they have enough hits, it stops there. So you need to be careful what you decide to take off your resume. And if you're going to put it on, you got to have it, because then you'll be questioned, right? But it's something that you need to make sure you're aware of. So yeah, did I answer that? I don't know.
No, I think so. And thank you as well for saying that, because I haven't had that conversation with many employers in a while in regards to computers, being used to generate resumes and direct them, because a lot of employers are still saying no to that question, that they are still going through a human chain. So thank you for specifying that specifically at CIBC, there really has to be a connection between the job description, the soft skills, the other aspects, and the position they're applying for. Okay, perfect. And I'll add in that with the Career Foundation, the wonderful thing is we also have so many employers that if Carmela's not ready for you now, you come and you get some experience with us, and then we can present you later on. So
yeah, and just to add, there's, if you're applying to a straight job posting, it will definitely go through a computer. That's why sometimes the human element, either through LinkedIn or trying to come in and try to meet somebody in a branch level, for example, like if you're looking for accounting, you don't have that luxury, because that is only through a computer. Right. So you want to make sure you have the keywords there, especially if they're looking for different types of programming. If you're going into anti-money laundering, if you're going into an analyst role, like you need to have those keywords either in your write-up or in your summary for the computer to pick it up. So that's why there's different avenues and different ways to try and get in front of people or into jobs. Because, for example, you walk in, I will look at your resume. If I went to, the Career Foundation and one of our face-to-face meetings, I would give you pointers based on what you're writing. So there is some human element, but most banks get too many hits that they don't have the luxury of the human element. So they have the computer do the first run, and then the human comes in.
Okay, all right, thank you very much for specifying that. So another question from Samantha. Hi, Carmela, that was very good information for newcomers. Thank you very much for sharing, she says. For someone who is a mid-level career experienced person, it is hard at most interviews. Sorry, is it hard at most interviews? Okay, so basically I think she's saying that it's difficult because a lot of interviewers would not be considering you for an entry-level role. So kind of like where you're midway in regards to maybe experience and career. So she is wondering, how do you break this conundrum? How do you move yourself on? She's been an investment analyst for 6 years, and the industry is really hard to crack, she feels. So in regards to Canadian education, to improve her prospects, what would you say?
So what is she, sorry, what was her?
So she's a mid-level person in regards to her career exposure and experience, and I believe she's having a bit of difficulty in regards to kind of like cracking that nut of finding the specific role that thinks she's
wants to do.
Suited for the right role. Yes. So what would you say in regards to her being able to make that move in regards to the industry? For Canadian education, how will that help someone who's got mid-level experience?
Well, if you have experience, it always helps. When you're trying to come in, like, say you're not coming, you want to come in totally entry level and you want to go further up somewhere, that's when the networking becomes much more important, because people have to understand and hear what you're bringing to the table. Paper only holds so much value, right? So at that level, it's honestly more challenging. So it's conversations and people that know people. Again, I keep referring to LinkedIn because you know, that's one thing. The Career Foundation will also have different levels of job opportunities that might help jump you in that way, but it becomes more conversations, right?
So from mid to high, you really then recommend individuals really kind of getting out there and trying to introduce themselves and selling themselves in regards to who they are and what they can offer. Yeah,
so I'll give you my example. So when I moved from the other bank to this bank, it was through conversation, because I came in at a manager level. And you know, organizations will groom their own people. So how do you jump to a manager level when there's people in that same organization already waiting for those roles? It's through conversation. It's through people that know people, that talk about you, that have, and if you're coming from Canada and you don't know those people, it's how do you put yourself in situations where you can get to know people, and you can network, or you use technology to your benefit. It's not, listen, none of this is easy. So it's just not staying motivated and not getting down on yourself, because that's hard, right?
Yeah. Not easy, but not impossible.
Right. You get a lot of no's, but you'll get the yes. So
yeah, there you go. And Gisela has sort of just sent a really nice little bit for us. And she said, hi, Carmela. Hi, Denise. Hi, Gisela. I just finished my postgraduate certificate in financial planning this April, and I worked in the bank for 9 years back home. I really want to get into a bank job, but because of COVID, it's really tough. I always look out for job opportunities and try to connect with people. I think this webinar really helps. And she's just saying, thank you very much. So,
well, congratulations and thank you. And I think things will open up soon. So hopefully something comes your way.
Yeah, so stay motivated, Giselle, and definitely keep trying for sure. Okay, I'm doing my CSC and looking for back office jobs in investment or treasury roles. I have been in Canada for less than a year and have worked for CIBC on a 6-month contract. So how can I get back into CIBC directly, but not on contract? What skills and qualifications are preferred for treasury and investment banking roles?
I don't know that answer, but the fact that you had 6 months in CIBC on contract, my thought process goes to, you must know people now. You must have made connections. it's kind of asking the question, is there something permanent? And some departments definitely or honestly do not, or I don't know if it's not allowed, I don't know enough about them, but they always go to an agency. They will not change that. I don't know why. Technology is a big one that I know of, because they're always looking for new skill sets. So they're not prepared to commit to that job family because they don't have the expertise in-house. So they will always go out. Treasury might be the same idea. I don't know. But if you've done 6 months, you must have contacts. I would start kind of feeling those contacts and seeing if there's anything changing. And like you said, it's COVID, so it's a little bit harder right now. But going back to the people that, they saw what kind of work you provided, they loved you. So how do you get in through that door going forward as opposed to a contract?
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much. A lot of great questions, Carmela. You're definitely going to have to come back and bring some people with you because there's a lot of really good questions out there.
No problem.
Okay. I have a question from Asma, and she's writing, is there an age limit for each of the positions?
18.
Yeah, okay. That's the minimum, and for the rest of it, I guess the sky's the limit. Right?
So listen, we're in Canada. There's no discrimination here, right? So it's 18. If you're 18, you're allowed to apply. And then, but the younger you are, obviously you have different skill sets at that point in time. So depending what job you want, it's not the age that's going to get you out of that job. It's the fact that you don't have the experience yet.
Right.
But the hiring age is 18.
Right, perfect. And Carmela, I guess just again for the bank, just to maybe add, I guess some people have to also bring their patients because there are criminal checks and credit checks and different things that have to be done. So this is also a part of the process. So again, maybe for people looking for banking, that they're also aware that this is a part of it as well, right? Okay.
Yeah, like if you're coming in, you're looking at least a month by time job offer to end the door.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, perfect.
And actually, let me add, and if you're from another country, it takes longer because then they have to do background checks depending on what information you provide on your resume. And my experience at CIBC, your resume has to mirror what you've done. Don't color it. Don't make it fancier than what you really did, because what will happen is if it comes out in the process of checking and balancing your resume and you maybe embellished the truth, they will pull the offer on you. So don't do that. It's better to be honest, and not so much the word not honest, but keep it simple, and don't embellish if you're not really sure if that's what you really have in terms of like certificates or I don't know. I've seen different things happen, unfortunately. So just keep it to what you can prove and what you're comfortable talking to, and that's it. Don't make it worse. Don't add more, because then that might actually get you in the door to begin with, but out the door at the end.
Great. Okay, perfect. I don't see any other new questions at the moment. I think you've done great, Carmela. You've covered all of them. Yeah.
And drink now.
One more just popped up. What is usually the recruitment process for CSR call center? Oh, sorry. What is usually the recruitment process? Oh, I just lost the question. Sorry. For CSR call center positions, what is usually? Actually, I think it's the same thing. What is usually the recruitment process for the call center positions, and how long does it take? Roughly is what she's asking. So the process and the length of time.
So process in terms of?
Probably onboarding. So maybe once you've submitted your resume and then it's reviewed, what's usually the process? I guess online assessments, maybe interviews.
Yeah. Okay, so if you're applying just, let's call it through the internet, what will happen is they will screen the resume, then it goes to a recruiter, a HR recruiter. That recruiter will then look at the resumes that the computer has brought forward. they will do a further analysis to say, okay, this person has this skill set, not this one, and they will shortlist it more. They will do phone interviews, and then based on the phone interviews, they will pass if you pass the phone interview, let's call it, it will go to the hiring manager, and that hiring manager will have face-to-face interviews.
Okay.
Now it's not, now it's webinar interviews, but I'm pretty sure face-to-face will come back. And then once, if you successful candidate, they will actually do an offer for you. It's all electronic, so it'll come through your computer. As Denise talked about before, they will do background checks. They will check if you're new to Canada. There's that piece to make sure that you have the right qualifications to work in Canada. They will check with employers that you put on your resume. So if you said you worked at, I don't know, Staples for 3 years or 2 years, they will call Staples and verify that information. So it's quite lengthy. So from time of applying to time of like putting your foot in the door, I would say is easily 2 months.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Another question, what are the high demand areas, and what would you say is hiring most right now within risk?
Within risk?
Yes.
Risk, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, the ones that I see a lot of is, I mean, I know it's not risk related, but anti-money laundering is part of that umbrella. There's risk analysts, not so much. I don't know. I don't know. I really can't speak to that. I haven't been paying attention to that part of the company. Yeah, I don't know. I can look into it.
Okay. Well, so maybe then what you can do is, if you don't mind, you can maybe email me that question, and then I can always connect with Carmela at a later date and provide you with a response. So,
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
Christina says, thank you, Carmela and Denise, for all of your information. You're very welcome.
Thank you.
I have a degree in applied statistics and administrative support, experience in insurance. I'm interested in career and data analyst in the bank, but do not have any experience. Is it possible to get entry-level administrative position through banking, and to later then look for opportunities in data analytics department?
Yes, you can. So I'm gonna just remind everybody that what I said at the beginning of our hour and a half ago, if you don't like what you're doing, you're not going to perform well, and then it's not going to give you opportunity to go forward. So if you're going to come in, for example, as a financial service representative, which has nothing to do with analysis, let's call it, you better like that job, because then you're not going to perform well in that job. So maybe that might not be the right answer, but if you know you like clients and it's something that interests you, I've had people come in saying, I'm going to do this, and it's just my jump off point to go into, I don't know, HR. And then they come in and it's like, well, I actually like this stuff. I'm a prime example. So I went into this as a summer job, and yeah, I've been here 30 years because I actually said, I actually like this stuff. So if you can, you know what, you're good with clients and you like people. I keep saying that because we're all people, and we're all great people, and sometimes we're very difficult people. So you got to be able to deal with both spectrums of the equation. And if you're good with that, then maybe this is something that can be a jump off point. Sometimes you have to have patience, because I have somebody, for example, that's been with us almost 2 years, and they want to get into a part of the bank that is not that easy. So she's been applying and having conversations, but the opportunity hasn't presented itself. But she also likes the job she's doing. So she's not getting up every morning dreading the fact that she has to come into work. Because if you dread coming into a customer-facing job, it's compounded to the fact that you are in a customer-facing job. And you have to deal with other people besides yourself. So it'll make it very difficult. So is it possible? Yes. You know, kind of, if you don't have experience in general because you're starting off, and then it might be a good place to start. But you got to like it, and you got to have some type of background to support that.
Okay, perfect. Kavi's question is very short and to the point. Is there a lot of hiring in AML?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Perfect. Okay.
So let me just clarify that. So there is, but because that department has become more complex because of the rules the government has imposed on us, like I said, I've mentioned before, is that they are now starting to look for some level of certification in AML. So it's not as easy as it was to get in, let's call it a year ago. But it's still a very prominent place they're hiring. Yes.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Another question, what kind of certification or course, if you are aware of this, Carmela, would you say is needed for tax analyst or tax specialist in banking?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't want to answer that. I really don't know. Sorry.
Okay, so maybe that's an email question to me then, and then I can see if I can connect with you for an answer at another time. Okay.
Sure.
And Saba, I'm sorry, you asked something. Saba, can you please send that again? I'm sorry, maybe it got bumped out. Saba is asking me to answer something for them, but I can't see the question. Oh,
Okay.
Okay, there it is. I am working now as a sales representative for PC Financial, and I didn't even see this question. Okay, thank you. I am working right now as a sales representative for PC Financial, but I am a chemical engineer. They want to know, how would they be able to apply as a teller?
To apply as a teller?
Yes. Huh?
So you're a chemical engineer and you want to apply as a teller?
This is where people's skills count, right, Carmela?
Yeah. So if you're working at PC Financial, that means you have a pretty tough job because you're trying to interact with people while they're shopping. And if you're successful in that, very good. I would not go into a teller position. I'm not sure if you have your mutual funds. I don't know about the new PC world right now because it changed a bit. I would actually go see if you go into a financial service representative position, and it's applying, and again, it's all the same thing. It's the networking, it's getting to know people, but I would almost get your mutual funds and go into that world. Obviously, if you're a chemical engineer, you've got lots of smarts about you. I think you would be, unless you're being a CSR because you want to go another route, I would bypass it. There's more opportunities as a financial service representative than a CSR. Yeah. So
perfect. Thank you. Hopefully that helps. Jackson's question is, do you need a BA degree in order to work in AML? Can I work in CSR and then build my way up there?
Do you need a what degree?
It's a bachelor's. BA degree. Yeah.
So we don't have that rule. The banks put that rule, I don't know, years ago, 10 years ago, but then we were realizing we were missing a lot of people that didn't go to school for different reasons or couldn't go to school, or we needed the language, so that rule came off pretty quick. So do you need it? No. Every hiring manager is a little different, so I'm a big believer that if you have some type of degree or diploma, it shows that you can think logically, you can get through things, you start and finish a task. So AML, I think they have so many people applying that they might subconsciously or inadvertently have that, but I don't know 100%. I can find out for sure if that's, you would actually look, if you actually look on the website and you find an AML, it will tell you if that's a requirement. It will say if you need a bachelor's or an undergrad up front. So.
Perfect, thank you. A lot of great questions, a lot of motivated people today listening, so it's fabulous, right? For a CSR teller or sales, generally, how many years of experience is ideal for this role?
For
customer service / teller or sales, generally, how many years of experience is ideal?
To get in or to?
Yeah, to get in.
Honestly, not much, a year. Okay. So if you're looking at a teller position, as long as you have, honestly, I always look for retail experience, believe it or not, I've hired really great people from McDonald's, because McDonald's has an excellent customer service training program, and they've become excellent bankers. So you'll be surprised where people come from. Yeah. So as long as you have experience and you've done well in it, you really have to self-reflect. Do you really like this, right? So no, there's no real hard and fast rule. When you go into sales, if you're going into an entry level financial service rep, same thing. As long as you have some level of experience, a year is good, honestly. I've hired people with seasonal experience because they were students, for example. They were going to university and they only could do seasonal, but they've done it over 2 or 3 seasons, let's call it. Or they went back to the same place, but only seasonal. So I've hired people like that. There's really no hard and fast rule. That's the good thing about banking.
So Carmela, if McDonald's gets a rush, well, they owe it to you. So thanks.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I had some great people from McDonald's.
All right, so let's see. Just a few more, because I know we are getting close to our time. Working in sales. Okay, there's someone else who's saying, again, some of the questions are similar. CSR, general experience. Do you need an IFIC or a CSC certification to apply for the position of CSR or FSR?
You need it for the FSR, not the CSR.
Okay, perfect. Someone else says they have 10 years of experience as a bank teller in their home country, and they are a newcomer to Canada. Do I have to do any certification for the CSR jobs?
No.
Yeah,
No.
I've answered that. There's someone with some great energy saying, hey, everyone. That's probably Kyle. The webinars will end at 2:30. So definitely following up in regards to email of attendees, or just reminding everyone that video will be sent out. As Carmela said, if there are any questions that you have, please feel free to forward them to me, and then we can get that information out there as well to you once we get the answers. And I will just put in my email address right now so that everyone has it. Carmela, can you think of anything that we did not touch upon as we're getting close to the end?
No, I just want to honestly thank everybody for this. This was fun, actually.
Yeah.
I wish everybody, continued luck. Don't give up. It's been a weird time for the world, but things will turn around. Just continued patience, because it's taking longer than anybody's expected. So don't give up. It will happen.
Perfect. It's true. And just as a quick end, thank you very much for the session today, Carmela. Really appreciate your attendance and your information, and your sharing, your passion for the bank and for CIBC. Tips and practices. I'm sure a lot of people will definitely be able to use those and add those. Thank you for everyone who's attended this session. We hope you did find this useful. We do have over 7 locations in regards to assisting you at your convenience, and we are open for our online services. So just a reminder again that if you'd like to assess future opportunities in the banking for CIBC and other financial sector roles, please do reach out to us so that we can have you registered and so that we can have your information and assist you with preparing yourself for, as when Carmela says, things officially open up. Because again, as Carmela said, it really doesn't hurt to start preparing from now. So we will be sending out the following up email and information for you. Also, just to gain your feedback for future events of this sort. So please feel free as well. Again, I've sent my email information to contact us with anything that you may have in regards to questions, and then future resume information. And just thank you all so much for your time and your interest in attending. And yeah, just wishing you all that you stay safe and stay motivated. And we look forward to hearing from you all in regards to upcoming opportunities. Yeah, Carmela, thank you very, very much.
Thank you very, very much. This is great. I appreciate it.
Fabulous. You're very welcome. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much. Take care. And I think we'll be closing down now. Okay.
Thanks.